Thank you, Sophia. I'm Matthew Calamatta from Matchbox Mobile. We're a design and development agency here in Seattle and in the UK. And for the last few years, we've been great fans of voice as a technology and all it offers. And I'm delighted to be joined by Sara Dayton from Penguin Random House, who we've worked with for many fun projects. And Sara, could you tell us a little bit about your role?
Of course. Hi, Matt. Nice to see you. So I'm on the creative strategy team at Penguin Random House, and I'm responsible for all of our strategic marketing projects that are a bit outside the norm, one-offs, or things our team typically doesn't handle. So happily that includes voice, which means we have a long history of working together, as you mentioned, first with bringing Mad Libs to voice and now with our Who Was project.
Brilliant. And typically, so for you at Penguin Random House, where do you see voice fit with what you do? And kind of what have you learned from the various projects that we've worked on?
Sure, yeah. So I think we see it through two lenses. The first is just experimentation and learning. Like I said, we don't often do voice projects, so it's always helpful to, instead of reading about something, actually go through the process of making a product and see the opportunities and challenges. It's nice to be able to experiment and see what takeaways we can apply to our broader business. So that's certainly a key goal with these projects. And then the second goal is just to get our content in front of as many people as possible. A really important part of my team's role is finding new ways to reach new audiences. So putting out these Who Was books on voice gives us a great opportunity to reach a broader and more diverse set of people, which we're really always happy to take. Hopefully we create something fun and engaging that they enjoy, and then when they're walking through a store a week or a month later, they see our book and are happy to pick it up.
Brilliant. And on our side, kind of, voice for us is a critical and exciting new tech, but still new because, I think its promise is yet to be delivered fully. And kind of when we think about voice projects, we come to them with a why. Like, why is this going to be a voice experience versus a gimmick, or making sure it's not just an app that's been ported. And for us, where we really think there's potential is in these different environments, the communal setting of voice in particular, where it's the opposite of kind of head down using your phone. So for us, it's been a great sort of privilege to be able to work on these various projects with you.
Yeah, likewise. And I think that, you guys always asking the why hits the nail on the head of why it's so important for us to have you as a partner, because it's quite tempting when you have all the content in the world to just dump it onto a new platform. But we want to make sure that we're creating something that's engaging and valuable for consumers and not just doing something for the sake of doing it. So I really value your team constantly asking the why and how can we make this better, because it's a really important part of the process.
Yeah, and so why, who was kind of, how did you see that kind of fitting with voice, and kind of why was this an interesting opportunity?
Sure, yeah. So Who Was books, for anyone that's not familiar, are nonfiction series written for 8 to 12-year-olds. Each book is an illustrated biography that features a famous person from history. They're very recognizable because of the distinctive bobblehead illustrations on all of their covers, which of course we like to have fun with in any product we make for them. But the brand is fun and playful. It's educational, but it tries to make learning fun. So that voice felt like a natural fit for voice right from the start. And then because it has so many books and so much content in all different formats, we have audiobooks, print books, illustrations. It just felt like there would be a lot to play with to make a really rich and engaging experience for consumers. Let them dip their toe into the series and learn about history in a way that's not overwhelming.
Yeah, and for us, this project was an interesting fit for voice, particularly because of the communal setting and the idea that it's going to be more of a lean back experience. We're not asking voice to do too much, which is often where some of these projects struggle, where the idea is that we're going to say, meet a character, learn about their story, listen to the rich audio. And, the characters and the stories that you have were a really interesting kind of opportunity. Particularly one great example is Sacagawea. And as Dr. Mack was saying, we learned a lot from these characters in history that we had not previously known, like we had not known as we were working with the books that she was instrumental in helping Lewis and Clark. Now everybody's heard of Lewis and Clark, but not her. So that brings me to, of course, how are you thinking about diversity, equality, and inclusion when it comes to these books and the action?
Yeah, I love that Sacagawea is the example that comes to mind for you, because she was actually one of the first 4 books that the Whoa series launched with. And I think that really illustrates how fortunate we were with just the content that we have from our editorial teams. They made, making a diverse list of people a priority for this series from the beginning. They've been publishing into it for almost 20 years, so we had a huge wealth of people, and we could kind of have our pick of the litter of who to include, and we were really able to focus this product on trying to make sure we had a diverse mix of people presented so that kids could see themselves in the heroes that we're talking about. That was really important to us from a publishing and content lens. And I know, we talked about diversity a lot throughout this whole project. I know it informed as well the way that you designed and built it on your end. Speak a bit about that, because I love hearing you talk about that.
Thank you. Yeah. So to begin with, we're an international team, from multiple countries, and it's, for us, it was we came to it with an idea of let's learn about who this is going to be for, and we wanted to we saw an opportunity here that we could reach children and families for whom being surrounded by books is completely alien. We thought there was a chance to bring in and include in this kind of these exciting character stories children who perhaps aren't confident of their reading level, or who don't receive books as gifts, or who are not surrounded by books in the house. And we know how much that can be a predictor of future success. So for us, being able to say to a child, look, it doesn't matter if you're an avid reader. Here is a really engaging and interesting story and a character that you can engage with. Like we said, in this kind of lean back experience. Okay, who is this? Who's that? And then when it comes to the design of it, we thought, simplicity is key. We're not offering a whole library. We're not trying to say, overwhelm through too much choice, and being able to offer, this person or that person. And then off we go, and we're just offering these little kind of bite-sized chapters. And critically in the design, we're thinking always of this kind of communal setting that we mentioned at the start, where if a parent is walking past, and if we're in a family where the parent themselves hasn't been surrounded by books and grown up with this culture of books, they can hear about Sacagawea and say, who's that? And we had this happen in our house, where kind of the conversation between the child and the parent of connecting it to Lewis and Clark, and then going and looking things up on Wikipedia. So for us, kind of, we see that as a kind of tremendous opportunity to kind of increase the inclusivity, and kind of like Dr. Max said earlier, the idea that kind of we hadn't known about all these kind of characters who are not the typical dead white guys that we kind of tend to see in the books. So, we're really excited to kind of see this, go out and be in the world, and kind of hopefully bring in more people and make these stories known.
I wasn't really thinking about this when we first started, but the more we've worked on the project, the books are written for 8 to 12-year-olds, but we know that adults also really love them because they make history super digestible and easy. You can read a book in an hour if you're an adult. So I love that this experience gives families the opportunity to interact around the content together and talk about it and discuss it. And your point about accessibility is a good one as well, because 300 books is amazing, but also can be overwhelming or intimidating. So I like that this feels like a very approachable way to start exploring. For the audience, anyone who wants to explore the action yourself, you can find it by asking your assistant to talk to Who Was Heroes. So we hope you like it. We had a lot of fun putting it together. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Sarah. Take care.